Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. I've been working on a evidence packet lately, and it's not the first one. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the history. And after I had survived being ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut in 2012, I found them pictures of the secret police, and I printed them off. And then I got the police reports that showed no police in my house, and I went to the Midland FBI office. This is in 2012, and so I was up there probably, I don't know, quite a few times. So 5, 6, 7 times I go up there. They're telling me they're investigating and nothing's happening. And I'm going back up there. And finally this FBI agent comes out and tells me to go see a doctor and never come back again. It was Powers is his name. And it was a guy I hadn't even talked to up there. And so because of that, I didn't go back to the FBI office. And here I was trying to report capital murders to them, very, very frustrated, because I was providing them all that evidence. Okay. Well, then in 2016, that's what we're looking at right here. In June 2016, I created this evidence packet, a 3-ring binder. That was it right there, okay? And I'm showing right here in this picture where I mailed this by registered mail. Return receipt required. And then that way they had to sign for it. And I got a record of the police getting it with this, and I typed out this story and I sent it to this FBI agent, Brandon Griffith, supervisor of the FBI then at the time. I'd seen his name in the news, and they'd made a bust, and I thought he might be a good cop, but I don't think that anymore, and I was told later that after he got this packet of evidence, he quit and went to work for an oil company. And it might have been one of the oil companies that had people at the underground oil show party where the little girl was murdered at, and so I think it was Exxon Mobil, XTO is what I was told. He quit the FBI, went to work for an oil company, and here I was reporting, evidence of a young girl being murdered at an oil show party. I thought that was kind of interesting. And so here was this packet of evidence, and I even made a movie about that. Okay, I'm going to show you here. I got some records here. Come on, mouse. There we go. Okay, here, the book, okay, and that was March 26, 2016, and that is this book right here. And I'll show you the YouTube link on that. And then I got a call from this FBI agent, Powers, the same one that told me in 2012 to not come back to the FBI. He called me on the phone, and I secretly recorded him. That's this phone call right here. And he told me he was going to destroy this evidence, And I thought that was a big deal since it was evidence in capital murders, I mean, my understanding, destroying evidence in capital murders is a crime, But I mean, y'all can listen to it yourself. And, and that's what he said. If I didn't pick it up, he was going to destroy this evidence. And then here, moving on to 2019, I created another evidence packet, and I provided that to Homeland, and that was on May 28, 2019. I met them at the Home Depot store July 2nd, 2019, and then I made a video showing what was in that evidence book on the evidence provided to Homeland. Okay, and I'll show you them. I'll show you these links here. Okay, so here's the book right here. Okay. This is the video right there, the book, okay? And then here's conversation with the FBI. This is where Powers called me on the phone and told me he was going to destroy the evidence that I sent them about the murders, okay? And then here's evidence provided to Homeland in 2019. And then Homeland Security advised me to go talk to the FBI. And I told, and he says, oh, well, I got a lot of new people. They're not dirty anymore, but that's not what I found. I go down there to talk to the FBI. And here I'm telling this guy my story, and he literally calls me crazy right there. And I'm showing him I'm cleared by mental health at the hospital. I'm showing him I've got all these records as all these other homeowners reporting people. Well, I don't care what they say. I still think you're crazy. Literally that's what he told me. I'm like, what's your name? You can call me duty agent. Okay, but what's your name if I need to contact you? Duty agent, just call me duty agent. He refused to give me his name. Okay, and I provided him the same evidence packet that was provided to Homeland Security in 2019. And that's what this video here is about, okay? So it's evidence on capital murders, basically is what it is. So anyways, I'm creating another, here I am, I'm going to create another evidence. I'm thinking this time I'm going to send it to, who knows, I ain't even sure I'm going to send it to politicians, elected leaders, internal affairs, the U.S. Inspector General, and report corruption, anybody and everybody. And I want to make it so clear that they know if they look the other way, they can be charged with accessory to capital murder, accessory to, capital attempted murder, etc. That's how clear I want to make this, okay? That's what this video is about. It's a new evidence packet. This week, I sent a long and fact-filled Crime Stoppers tip that I could believe solved multiple murders and crimes. A couple of days later, I went to add information to it, and it appeared that somebody had deleted the Crime Stoppers tip. See, you're supposed to use your number, go back, and you can add information to it, and it was gone, okay? I then created a second Crime Stoppers and resent the same information again. In addition, I wrote Attorney General Paxton, who I've contacted many times over, and provided him the missing tip ID number that was the deleted one, as we just can't overlook murders, which is exactly what has been going on here. Today, I started working on an evidence packet sent out to other law enforcement, elected leaders, and anybody else I think may care about crimes and murders. Here are some of the files I printed off today, and as you can see, I tried to state the facts on the pictures themselves. So that's what I was doing, was creating these picture files, and then I was including the information on the file. Okay, so this is a print screen of the Crime Stoppers that went missing, okay, with the tip ID number, and then, and I wrote it up there to talk, which I already said, I submitted this to Crime Stoppers on this date, I went back, logged in, it was gone, etc., okay, which I've already read that, so I won't even go over that one, because there's a bunch of them. Okay, here's the next one. Like I said, these are standalone. Now, they're just one picture, and here's the evidence plus the story all together. That's how I was wanting to do this. And so, like I said, I wanted to make it just right in your face, so clear that you look the other way, you go destroy this evidence, and then they're going to charge you with a crime, because these are capital murders, okay? Here's the story. Here's a picture of the previous young homeowner in my home when he died at 27 years old. The Odessa American posted that he died in Fort Worth. 4 days later, they posted a second death notice and changed the location of death to say he died at his residence, okay? That confirmed what the neighbor had told me, that Mike had died in this house, okay? So anyway, I have this little story at the top. I said, the previous owner of my home, Michael Hahn, died the week before the 2008 oil show party started in the underground home in the backyard. I think that's kind of important, since now we believe or know that there's underground home in the backyard where they're having oil show parties. He dies the week before the 2008 oil show started. It was in 2010 where it's believed a young girl was murdered back there. A former neighbor, Marilyn DeLuigi, told me twice that Mike died in this house, which was confirmed by the second revised death notice posted by the Odessa American, but his death certificate says he died at his mom's house in Fort Worth, okay? I believe that he was murdered here and taken to Fort Worth. After Mike died, his widow, Sarah Lawson, dropped the price $35,000 and offered this home to me. The ex-wife told me that I was chosen to buy this home, where I was ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut on January 28, 2012. It looks like they're killing one homeowner after another. And why was I chosen? Well, I don't really know, but I tell you what, that I now believe that the home I lived in Hobbs, New Mexico, was rigged. It was one of the many homes, that are rigged across the nation. So I believe I've been a victim of this crime ring for many years, okay? This one I'm putting in the evidence packet, and this is the one I show all the time. This is a Google Earth picture from June 2011. And one reason I show this one, because you can easily see where the ditch was cut behind the Home Depot store, aimed directly at my house where I was ambushed and shot. Okay, I included in here the Google Maps print screen here, where you can see this large building in the backyard on the map screen, but you can't see it from above ground. See, it's not seen from above ground. And I believe the people at the oil show party were using this tunnel coming in here, and here's one of the 4 underground homes where they have an oil show party. Keep in mind, the previous owner of my home dies the week before the oil show starts, okay? A 2008 oil show starts, and then 2010, a young girl's murdered at the 2010 oil show party, according to my friend Angie, who was driving and at the party in 5 minutes. I know that because we was talking on the phone while we lived there. And I put a little record here. So I was here with Homeland Security 2 weeks after the ground, and 2 weeks later, the ground is dug up and poured concrete. That was in 2019. I'm showing them where this human trafficking murder tunnel was at, that I believe where that was used for those show parties. Maybe DNA evidence for that little girl's in there. They're supposed to take care of human trafficking. That little girl, it was a forced prostitution murder, and she wasn't the only one there, and then 2 weeks later, they dug up the ground and were pouring concrete, And then over here, as I'm showing all these records, here's a recording of this phone call. Woman telling me these 4 3-bedroom $1 million underground homes having pedophile parties down there. Rhonda Denman Rogers said there's an underground facility a half block away. I think that might be a home on Westmont Court. Ricky Ronaldo said he used to live in my house, and him and his brother used to go on tunnels under it. That's a screenshot I have, so law enforcement could talk to these people. Layla O'Brien said she worked on this underground safe house project, put in 1987 for George H.W. Bush, budget of $7.35 million. She said she worked for PBK. They also built a school here in Midland, but this was the only underground job she worked on. There ain't no doubt that it was true. I asked her. I said, "Do you have to sign any paperwork on that?" "Oh, I had to sign more stuff for that than any job I ever worked on." Joe Lozano running for Midland sheriff. While during the election for sheriff, I secretly recorded him. He told me that the late Sheriff Gary Painter used to hide out in these underground homes here. One more person confirmed, documented, recorded. Okay. And then the police report and the cameras showed officers Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale entered my home from the underground entrance in my home on the night that I'm shot by somebody under my home. Okay. Angie McGee Hurley told me about a girl who was murdered at an oil show party 5 minutes drive from my home. Okay, Google Maps, and they can check the phone records there. Google Maps shows this large bunker in my backyard that can't be seen from above ground. That's what that picture is right there. Concrete poured behind my home after showing Homeland a tunnel location. I think I added that picture in this packet. Screenshot. Lance Eggleston says, "We have access to your residence at all times. Nobody will ever believe your story. You will be silenced, not if, but when." That's only one of many death threats, but Lance made it real clear that he knew about the underground access to my home. Okay, so this is in the evidence packet going to law enforcement. Okay. Here's my next screenshot here, and this is another one I use often because this is the one here with Google Maps showing the underground home in the backyard. And here's the Crime Stoppers for the little girl that was her remains were found in 2013. I've suspected this little girl was the one that Angie told me about murdered there, and that's where you can see at the top. I said this is the underground home where it's believed the young girl was murdered at, and then I put a note under there. Tisha Ann Wilson Brumley told me I've had friends involved in them old show parties, and they're exactly what you say. They are underground homes. There you go. That's what I'm saying. And then here's in the bottom, I said in October 2010, Angie McGee Hurley was leaving my home and at the parties in 5 minutes. I know this, we were talking on the phone while she drove there. This week she told me about a young girl that was murdered at those parties because she didn't want to prostitute. I tried to get Angie to report this murder, but she was afraid and said that high-level police were also at those parties. I believe she was working in the parking in the Home Depot parking lot and then coming back to my home via a tunnel that can be seen on old Google Earth maps with the parties in the underground home that multiple people have said were here. I just showed you that. It looks like one of those homes is in my backyard. The remains of a girl were found outside of Midland in 2013. And one time I was over there at the Home Depot telling a clerk my story, and that clerk just blurts out, "If you happen to see a lot of cars in the parking lot late at night, it's because we're stalking," And I hadn't seen that, I hadn't asked that, nothing. I mean, it was a clue. She's just telling me the people, the wholesale parties are parking out front, and the excuse we're using is they're stalking. That's what she was saying, without saying it. Another Google Earth map. I said I was told there were 4 3-bedroom $1 million underground homes. That was on a recorded phone call, secretly recorded phone call. And this is where it's believed a young girl was murdered during a 2010 oil show party. So obviously one of the underground homes is in my backyard at 3802 Fair Circle, directly behind the Midland Home Depot store. Okay, you can see the tunnel on that map. But where's some other ones? Because there's supposed to be 4 of them. Well, I've found 2 other houses. This one over here on 3900 Westmont Court has an empty lot right here here, okay, and it has a water well, and that house had the same mortar problem my home had, and that mortar problem is believed to be caused from digging under the home, and it unsettled the home settled foundation, whatever, and it broke the mortar joints. Okay, that's what I believe. So I suspect maybe one of the underground homes is over here. Okay, and then I've also suspected maybe another one is over here at this home over here at 3800 Fair Green Court, okay? And once again, this house has a water well and had the same mortar problem my home and this home had, okay? And that home is right next to the Fairmont Park Church of Christ. And a police officer advised me to go snoop around that church one day, okay? And I've got a print screen of that. So maybe that's where and that still leaves one more, and we don't even know how many people they've murdered. We just know what they do, and we know who they're using. They're using these dirty cops, okay? And so here's the next one, okay? Here's what on this one is showing as a print screen. Aaron Packelhofer, and he's telling me on Facebook. He says I'm well aware of the corruption with the Midland Police, but can I ask? He says there were 4 people who were murdered, died in your house. What are their names? Okay, well, obviously, I don't know their names, but he does, because he knows exactly how many. He didn't say there was 8. He didn't say there's 12. He said there were 4, so he knows who the 4 are, okay? Well, then I later find out that the city of Midland awarded Aaron Packelhofer $72,000 to start up his dream business. And the question has been asked if that was hush money, if taxpayers' money was used to buy his silence to cover up these multiple capital murders. If somebody in the city paid him taxpayer dollars, And so that's what all the write-up here at the top is talking about here. Okay. Here's my next one, okay? Arthur Welch, okay? I'll just read this one to you. In August 2010, Arthur Welch, a former boyfriend of the ex-wife, contacted me. He told me that he believes she had a lot to do with the shooting from the things he heard her say, and that she threatened to have him killed too. A copy of his message to me was read at the protective order hearing in December 2013 as evidence, and she confirmed that he was her former boyfriend. In July 2020, Arthur Welch posted this on his Facebook timeline saying he had overheard her planning my murder with her police friends to steal life insurance. She had taken my life insurance books from my home a few weeks before the murder attempt. His story hadn't changed in 8 years. It also came out in court that Detective Rosie Rodriguez and the ex-wife were lifelong friends and they had gone to grade school together. Rodriguez was caught tampering with evidence and lying on police reports in the murder attempt on my life. She personally closed my case and called this premeditated murder attempt an accident. So this is what Arthur Welch posted on his Facebook. Here it's dated in June 2020. He said, cops were recorded hiding evidence and laughing about this man being shot. I was dating this guy's ex-wife when overheard her talking, and from the things I heard, she had tried to have him killed for insurance money, and to hear how many police were involved. One, her longtime personal friend, that was Rosie Rodriguez. I won't let Betty Wayne Webb be laughed at. Her final words to me was, I'll have you shot too. Okay. And so there's Arthur Welch's story hadn't changed in 8 years. But what we know for a fact is Rosie Rodriguez, it was caught, tampering with evidence, lying on police reports, etc. Here we go. Okay. Next one. Okay. What we got here, I'm going to show you here, between the security cameras and the police report that I didn't get because they illegally withheld the police report for 7 years, and it incriminated the police. One of the big things on that police report that they were trying to hide was the fact that Dickie was in my house at 11:05, okay? But 4 minutes earlier, Woodward and Naylor were in front of my house at 11:01. I had crawled out at 10:42. Okay, these two guys here, Woodward and Naylor, they wasn't even dispatched. Okay, their names wasn't even. The first guy showed up was a sheriff from a whole nother county. This is just crazy. It took 6 years to get them identified. They were secret police. Okay, and so what I'm showing here. Or what I'm telling in the story up there, that all my other doors are secured with extra locks because of the crimes I had been reporting to the police. Okay, and so That's what told me that Dickie came into my home from the underground trap door the ex-wife had already told me about, and from where I was ambushed and shot from, and but also listed at my house on that police report was Davis, Chadwell, Angel, and Hale. Okay, but it makes sense that Woodward and Naylor were also under my home. They just didn't come in from the underground trap door entrance. They drove around front, and then Rodriguez and Chandler are there. Here Rodriguez meets me at the 7-Eleven and says she ain't even there, and then Chandler lies and said she climbed in my truck. She took the place. They both lied about the 7-Eleven. Obviously, they're involved too. This is a conspiracy is what it is. I mean, it's a large group of police. And if it wasn't for them pictures of them police and this evidence, it'd be my word against all of them. That's all there is to it. And this is a premeditated home invasion, capital attempted, cold-blooded murder. I mean, God saved my life. It's a miracle I'm alive. The ex-wife had told me that there was a lot of people on the night that I shot, in so many words. And so I believe there's some kind of party going on underground. And maybe these police officers were at that party, And I suspect they were the same ones that were at the 2010 oil show party that Angie was afraid to, she was afraid to report that murder because of that. So, and, that would be my top suspects, Here, I'm going to show you here's another proof picture here, and what this one is, okay, and I'm not going to read the top to you, but this is a detention form, emergency detention form without a warrant for the hospital, okay. April Chandler, and it's time stamped 11:03. Okay, I was crawling out at 10:42. I mean, I actually wasn't. I was about getting to the hospital by this time. Okay, and and Chandler was supposedly at the 7-Eleven. I guess since she's filling out this a form or whatever. But here, what I want to show you is what she wrote. That's what's important at the bottom. She says, Mr. Webb showed paranoia to the extent now I'm going to show you. She started to write, he shot, S-H-O. You see it? He shot, and then she scribbled that out. And I believe she scribbled that out because she knew that was a direct lie, because she knew I did not shoot myself. Evidence is 100% proven I did not shoot myself, okay? So she scribbled that out and changed her wordings to say, he caused himself to suffer a gunshot wound to the ankle. So what the point I'm making here is she was blaming me for these killers breaking into my home and shooting me, okay? And what I really think it was is I had unknowingly trapped a burglar in my home that day, okay? I had been reporting repeated burglaries to the police for over a year, and the burglar was trapped in my bathroom. And I think that's what she was talking about. He caused himself because he tried to stop our friends, the burglars, who break in his house and steal from him, because he tried to stop them because we wouldn't do it. Then we had to break in his home and shoot him. Now, I don't know if police shot me or not, but they're my number one suspects for the would-be killers. No doubt about it. If they didn't shoot me, they know who did. But I want to show here Chandler right here, and on that record there, started to say I shot myself, scribbled it out, and then said I caused myself when I'm staying home and minding my own business. I'm the good citizen reporting crime to the police, not knowing they're involved. They're working with the burglars that are breaking in my home and all these other homes too that are rigged. Okay, here we go. This is on the voice recorder, okay? Here, before I'm ambushed and shot, burglar alarms are going off in the attic over and over. That's documented on the nurse's notes at the emergency room report. The burglar alarms are going off, okay? It says that the alarms kept going off. Their sirens kept going off. That's what that is. That's from the nurse's notes, And I'm saying I got a voice recorder, okay? And I'm telling Detective Rodriguez, I have proof. Just go look. There's proof. This voice recorder recorded the burglar alarms going off. Well, that negates their, oh, buddy accidentally shot himself story. That was the lie they made up to cover up this premeditated failed murder, okay? As I had this voice recorder that recorded the burglar alarms going off. Now, keep in mind, I've only made probably 100 videos of burglar alarms going off in my home since then, okay, right? I mean, let's keep that in mind. I had burglar alarms documented before then, okay? And so here, April Chandler, okay, partner in crime to Rosie Rodriguez, said she found my voice recorder with my 222 guns. And what I saw on the evidence logs is that her sergeant, Matt Davis right here, he checked in the 22 guns, but he didn't check in the voice recorder. Okay, when when my attorney subpoenaed the police reports in December 2013, 22 months after the murder attempt, there was no voice recorder was there. Okay, that's all there is to it. Voice recorder was still. I made a big deal about telling the police about evidence in a capital attempted murder, and the police still in it. Because that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. And then few years later, it was checked into evidence by Matt Davis right before he quit the police department, and I think maybe his supervisors figured out he was involved in this premeditated capital attempted murder. That was my guess, and that's why he checked in the evidence and he quit. But keep in mind, that would probably have been a year, 2 years after the fact. Okay, and then here in November 2019, Matthew Davis writes me on my YouTube channel, says, "I stole the evidence and nobody will ever find out, buddy." Okay, let's keep that in mind. That's a big one. Okay. Here's another one. This is the proof of the trapped burglar in the gas bathroom. When I returned from the hospital, I found pry marks on the inside top door jamb of this bathroom door. That was one of the doors I had tie-wired shut because I'd recognized somebody had been in my home again. I'd been reporting these repeated burglaries to my home, okay? There's so many crimes gone here, I can't even count them, okay? They still go on here, okay? And then there's the nurse's notes at the bottom. I was tie-wired and my door shut, okay? And so this was the proof that I found. Now I want to tell you a little story that's interesting. In the FBI in 2019, when I went up there, that FBI agent is sitting there and he's playing with his phone while I'm talking to him, and he pulls up this picture. Okay, I hadn't been talking about it before he pulled it up. He already knew about it. That told me he knew about the trapped burglar right there. He knew that I was shot during the commission of a felony. The felony was a burglary of a habitation. I had been reporting them felonies to the police, not knowing the police were working with the criminals that are breaking into my home, and they're stealing from me. What are they stealing? They're stealing services, heating, cooling, electricity, stealing my privacy. They're spying on you, and threatening my life. These are the ones that cut your phone line and shoot you when you're not looking. Okay, dangerous criminals. Okay, here we go. The next one. Oh, this is an important one. The camera in my bedroom, they had attempted to disable but accidentally started it. That gave me the pictures of the secret police. And this is probably one of the most important pictures because what it shows is Detective Rosie Rodriguez leaned over my nightstand and April Chandler standing next to her. Okay, based on the timestamps, they waited for all the other police to leave my bedroom. This was towards the end of the pictures. She's leaned over this nightstand, and that's where I found my stolen cell phone planted. Okay, before I was shot, my cell phone was stolen and my home phone lines were cut. So when I fell to the ground and tried to call for help, I found out I had no communications. They tried to murder me in my home. This was premeditated, cold-blooded murder. Okay, I returned from the hospital. I find my cell phone planted behind this nightstand, okay, and my home phone back working, okay? And then I also find Detective Rosie Rodriguez wrote on this police report, Buddy said his phone was not charged. That was an absolute bold-faced lie. I did not say that. And in fact, I had the cordless phone in my pocket, which was fully charged because it sat on the charger all the time, and only had it because my cell phone was stolen. Okay, I believe that Rodriguez and Chandler waited for the mother police to leave my room, and she went back there and planted my stolen cell phone. And so obviously she know who stole my cell phone before this premeditated murder attempt. She should be arrested for that. And that's why I'm sending these pictures off. Okay. This next one here, this is the hospital, the horrific and nightmarish medical crimes, okay? And then I'm talking, there's 3 different proofs I found that they faked x-rays, okay? And the first proof was at Dr. Glass's office. He put up an x-ray on the screen. It's missing a broken toe bone. I noticed the toe bone was missing. I asked him about it, and he starts, oh, you can see about it here. I mean, busted. I've never seen anybody busted so bad. They had faked my x-rays, okay? Because that missing bone was broke. It was somebody else's foot with my name on it, okay? And then my second proof was where I seen x-rays from the night of the murder attempt, January 28, 2012, and it was missing the heel bone, okay? But my heel bone hadn't been shot off, and I hadn't been to surgery yet, okay? That's 2 proofs. And the third proof come here was the medical records, and it shows that my brother-in-law, that I didn't know was my brother-in-law, the ER doctor, ordered 3 x-rays at 10:37. a still secret lab tech named User in Interface canceled his order and then reordered 2 x-rays. Okay, that's weird, ain't it? Okay, and then this still secret lab tech User in Interface returned x-rays that were time stamped 10 minutes before they were ordered. Obviously, User in Interface faked my x-rays. He took the x-rays of somebody else, put my name on them, is what happened, okay? And then, and that explains why he canceled the doctor's orders and everything, okay? I suspected that maybe Dr. Hinton is User in Interface. And the reason is, a couple months later, I had more x-rays taken. Dr. Hinton did a radiological report and said he compared my x-rays from 11712 to 11912, and then he did his little write-up, except I was shot 11 days later on 12812, okay? That told me somebody was shot 11 days before me with the shotgun in the same foot. And I believe they used his x-rays, put my name on them. I believe the reason they did that is because I wasn't shot with a shotgun, but they were trying to say I was shot with my own shotgun. And that way they could turn this premeditated home invasion, capital attempted murder into an accident. That's what they were doing, okay? Just recently, a woman told me, she said she knows who was shot 11 days before me. And that was the confirmation that is huge news right there. I did a video called Huge News. She knows who was shot before me because it's his foot. I believe his foot in them faked x-rays. He was missing his heel bone, so they took me into surgery and they cut my heel bone out. They crippled me on purpose for life. That's what happened. Okay, here we go. These are the pictures of the secret place. I sent this for 6 years. I sent these pictures around $2,000. First time in the history of America that a crime victim offered a reward to identify police. Just unprecedented lawlessness. Not a news story in the nation. There's no telling how many people how many murders they've been involved in. But we know what they do. We know what they did. They got caught because they accidentally started a camera, got caught. Here was the names from the Empire Pride investigation. I paid $2,000 for these names. Rosa Rodriguez, April Chandler. We already knew them because you could see them too. Okay. Tony Dickey, that was the big one. He's the one in my house at 1105. Greg Chatwell, Greg Nelson, Marty Barrett, a crime scene investigator. Now this is extremely important because if a crime scene investigator is tampering with evidence, which I believe he was, okay, then we have to go back and we have to look at every piece of evidence he ever touched. If he was on a murder case and he testified about a piece of evidence, that guy gets another trial. That's what happens because this is America and we got to have a fair justice system. Chad Simpson, the guy that supposedly murdered his wife and killed himself 2 months after he was inside my home, or 2 months after Mike Naylor died. Mike Naylor, the second secret police to show up. He was a sheriff's deputy. Mark Gilliam, Michael Glick, and John Woodward is a sheriff from a whole nother county, Martin County. But, amazingly, I think he was married to a News West 9 reporter who's now the communication director of Odessa. Ain't that nice? Here we go. I was ambushed and shot saying burglar alarms going off in my attic. And that's what they call me crazy about. Oh, he's crazy. Thinks people in his attic. Yeah, now I've identified 50 other homeowners reporting people in the attic with a dozen addresses in Midland, another dozen in Odessa. I'm providing this to law enforcement. They already know it, but I'm going to put it out there so in your face that you cover this up, that we can charge you for the accessory and these capital murders. That's what I'm trying to do, because just breaking into homes and killing people has to stop. All these rigged homes, that needs to be stopped ASAP. Okay. Here, this one's big. July 2nd, 2019, I'm at Homeland Security at the Home Depot store, showing where the human trafficking murder tunnel was at, right? You remember I showed you that, right? Here's Ricky. He says, I was scared. I used to live in that house. We just go in the tunnel of it, okay? But anyways, here on July 17th, they're digging the ground up and pouring concrete, but I get it on video. By July 30th, U.S. Congressman Mike Conaway announces his retirement. Come to find out, his brother-in-law used to live across the street from my special rigged home. I've wondered if that home over there didn't have a tunnel under it. That was kind of interesting. I thought, And, I guess Pfluger's the one that got his job. I contacted Pfluger and told his person on the phone. I recorded it too and spent about 30 minutes. Once again, crimes never stop. They just keep breaking into homes. And I'm sure they're still killing for profit. That's what I believe they're doing, And so here's the story. Also, 3 months after this, U.S. Secretary of Homeland resigns. Okay, that Kevin McLennan. And then 6 days later, U.S. Secretary of Energy Rick Perry resigns. And I believe that was because, the oil companies were leaning on them to cover up these oil show party murders. Okay. This one here, this one's about Haley Dunn. Okay, I found out the mother of Haley Dunn was a stripper. Makes sense. All the strippers were working at the oil show parties, and this woman told me that Billy Dunn was taking Haley to the strip clubs with her. So I've suspected that Billy was at the oil show parties in October 2010, and she took Haley. That put them in my backyard. They would have been there when that little girl died. This right here is a screenshot of proof showing why I know for a fact I wasn't shot with my gun. Size of pellets removed from my foot, 2.5 sizes different than my gun. Surgeon stated he removed a large amount of plastic. Wouldn't have been there if I shot my gun. The CSI, Marty Barrett, who picked up my gun, did not check in an empty shell, which would have been in my gun if I'd shot myself. That's huge, okay? He did check in the live shells from the gun. He would have had to remove an empty shell. And the point is I wasn't shot with my gun. That's why he didn't check in the empty shell, okay? Okay, I actually believe I was shot with a handgun, 45 handgun. It's right here. Lisa Rogers documented saying I shot with a 45 handgun. I believe I shot with a special plastic tip pellet-filled bullet called the Glazer Safety Slug out of a 45 handgun to make it look like I was shot with my shotgun. This was premeditated. That's what I'm saying. And here we go. I printed off the Crime Stoppers message that included the many fact-filled videos. I have a video on that. And that's a long read right there. It's in a video there. Crime Stoppers tip. And here, this seems to make it clear a group of law enforcement has been obstructing justice and covering up the crimes. This one I just added today. CAD program Layla O'Brien. Here, I'm just going to open it up, okay? Layla O'Brien says this job she worked on $7.35 million on permit. Julia Weidman comes down to Midland, talks to James Rawls, wants to see the permits. And James Rawls gleefully tells her all the permits were destroyed or lost in 2014, 2015, 2 years after I'm ambushed and shot. And the question here is the bottom, did somebody delete records to cover up capital murders? Where's the backup? Because in 2014, 2015, when you have government records, you're required to have backups, okay? And so it looks like somebody intentionally deleted the records to cover up these capital murders. Okay, I wanted that one in there. And then this one was just for the police there at my home. I'm showing, here's the 11 police, their names that were identified by the private investigator. Here's the police report that I didn't get till 7 years later. And that's when we find out that the 6 of the police seen on camera wasn't on the police report. It had their names illegally omitted, okay? But more importantly, that's what time-stamped Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale as being at or in my home and not seen arriving. That means they come in from under my home. Okay, and then here was the second entry, police report 2120. That was the only one that I did get this report. That was the only one I was supposed to know about, right? Because they were hiding the police report for this one, and they had attempted to disable the camera and accidentally started it. And so you see this little short group right here. That's what they'd done is they had ordered the bomb squad. Oh, it is not safe in Buddy's house, let's get the bomb squad. But they had omitted that they had spent all this time in my home planting my stolen cell phone, stealing evidence, all that here when they got caught on camera, when they tried to disable the camera. See, they thought they disabled the camera and didn't know they started it, and here was the second entry. Oh, he's crazy. We got to get the bomb squad. Don't nobody go in there, but they didn't know they'd been caught on camera, But you can see how many of these police not there. And I suspect maybe some of these guys didn't know they had been in there planting evidence and staging the crime scene. And then I believe that's when they poured concrete, covered up the trap door. Notice Rosie Rodriguez was one of the only ones. She's all the way through it. She's a main player, the lifelong best friend of the ex-wife. And then here's Dylan Hale. His name was on here too. So he was on that second entry. Anyways, this is the new evidence packet. Like once again, I said, I think it's time that we need to start start looking at filing charges and pressing charges. Talking to internal affairs and saying, I want to press charges on these police officers. They were at my home. They're not seen. They're planting evidence that, this is a capital attempted murder, etc. I was hoping that they would bust this crime ring, because I've long suspected these police were just covering up for the people that tried to murder me. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was the police that are killing people for profit. I just don't know. I know they're involved, and I know it's time to end these crimes. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.